welcome to Bayou City Geeks. We don't have much news, but guess what? We have guests. Your co-host Mark Bearhart, with me is
Jason Elliott, and today we have, and it's a very timely episode because we have a guy that I've known for almost a dozen years. Met him back in 2008. He's a former UFC fighter, and this is the 15th anniversary of the finale of The Ultimate Fighter. And we have here Sam Hoger. Sam, how you doing, man?
What's up, Sam?
How are you doing, Jason? Hey, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. Here,
Hey,
I wanted to plug the show on my social media so I can get all of my friends, family, and all 5,000 of them to come in here. Are you guys on Facebook?
Oh, yeah. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Yep.
Could you send me the link to the show so I can share it?
Of course.
Yeah.
On Facebook, just message it to me, and then I'll have I'll have it put up there, so then we can
definitely
get this going.
Give me an hour after this is done, and you'll have it.
Okay. I thought we were live. Okay.
No.
We are.
Well, I mean,
we're live now.
But
yeah. But
it's like that scene in Spaceballs where, like, what's happening now is now. But what about now? Now.
Yeah. And Sam, what's with the robe and the towel and everything, man?
Man, I'm telling you, like, commercial real estate out here is a wonderful field to be in. I'm telling you, I enjoy it. And I'm over here, like, living in Los Angeles, California, and it's an amazing place. And there's so many, like, great people, great opportunities. Like, the one thing that I've enjoyed about this, previous to the coronavirus actually hitting, is that, no matter what night it was, if you're interested in doing something, you have no excuse, because you can just go ahead and, like, jump online, and you'll find a slew of activities in all different fields that you're interested in, and you can go at any time and go literally walk straight into whatever you're interested in and engage with that. And one of the things, like, my book is coming out here pretty soon. I'm going to probably start little videos about it, which talks about, like, the Hoger philosophy of life, the way that I manage it. Because people always ask me, Sam, why are you always so happy? Why are you always so happy? And I tell them, guys, like, it's because of the way that I navigate my life, the philosophy that I tend to surround my life with. And as soon as, like, people clue into, like, the way that I operate, 9 times out of 10, they tend to be pretty happy as well.
Yeah. I mean, being around you, I mean, just seeing how you live, just kind of like not a fly by the seat of your pants approach, but just, it's more of less, you create your own reality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing is, if you choose to be miserable, you're going to be miserable. You're going to surround yourself with people who are nothing but miserable.
Mm-hmm. Correct. And one of the primary things I always try to emphasize to people is that the very base, like, philosophy that I tell everybody that they have to, like, clue into is that everything is limited, and we are all going to die.
Yeah.
So being that we are all going to die and time is constantly running out, it's our responsibility to make the most of this time that we have available.
Yeah, because tomorrow's never guaranteed.
And so the systems that I think I've put in place have definitely helped me out. So yeah, I'm here in Los Angeles, California, enjoying living within that, and it's amazing. This place is heaven on earth. And I tell everybody, and one of the things that I try to emphasize to people is that you have a limited amount of life, and in that limited amount of life, you have a limited amount of opportunity. And the things that you should maximize your opportunity in reference to, like, focusing on, are, like, focusing on things that are going to give you the memories that you want to carry into your later life. Because people think, like, you want to give up your life to work this job for some company or some person that doesn't care about you. And the problem with working a job is that you give up your life and the years that your body is mobile and you're able to enjoy and do all the things you like to go ahead and satisfy somebody else's dream. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, because it's not making your life any longer. It's not really making your life any better.
No, and the thing is, with that being said, you're going to be miserable, and, you're going to have a litany of health problems too, because stress and frustration and, anger. And
not to mention sitting down endlessly. Whenever you sit down in a chair, that's worse than smoking, especially when you do it for 8 to 10 hours a day. I mean, I feel sorry for the people that work for, like, people like Elon Musk. And the reason why is because I picked up somebody who actually works for that guy. And get this, he works these people 16 hours. Now, if you love what you're doing, then you know what? You win.
Yeah.
But the people that I've spoken to so far, They're doing
It's
it.
a job to
They're
them.
doing it for they're doing it for a notch on their bedpost or a merit badge, which
Yep.
to me seems like you giving up what you cannot get back, which is your youth and your life and the time that you're able to enjoy, in order to go ahead and satisfy, somebody else's ambition. That really, I don't know, that really blows my mind. And so anyways, to kind of like stay in line with the perspective that I have, I think that like it's your responsibility to truly try to capture as much goodness and great memories and good times that you possibly can and share those with people you care about.
Oh yeah, man, just like live your life and be as happy as possible. I mean, I've even, talked to a lot of people who have left corporate jobs where they're making six figures because they weren't happy. They said that like they didn't get to see their kids, relationships ended, and here they are trying to, get this, oh, I make six figures. Oh, well, I drive this car, that car. And then when they, dropped down a notch or two, they were happier.
The greatest reflection of misery that I've ever heard come out of the mouths of people in conversations is when they open with how much money they make. Because in that moment that they have to tell you, I make this much, 9 times out of 10, I've noticed that these people are some of the most hurt, unhappy, and miserable people that I've ever spoken to, because that's the only thing they have to grab onto. And it's funny because money is, Ray Dalio, I think, just said it recently, money is now trash.
Yeah, I mean,
cash is trash, I think is what he actually said. I think, just so I don't misquote him.
Yeah, I mean,
I've been loving it out here. This place is amazing. Like every single day has been like an adventure, or like going out and doing, the things that I love to do. And I'm telling you, like another great thing about LA and Houston as well and other big cities is that there's different communities and different pockets that you are able to go ahead and visit and go engage and interact. Like, for example, if you go down to like Manhattan Beach, you're interacting with like a lot of like the older retired people. If you go out to East LA, you can hang out with a lot of like Hispanics. You go over to like the beach area, you can typically hang out with a lot of like,
beach
CrossFit
bums and
surfer type.
bodybuilders.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like anytime you want to engage like a different social circle, they are readily available.
Oh, of course. Just like kind of like here too. You go to it used to be you go to East. Well, you still do it. Go to East Houston. You engage with the Latino community. You go like north. You got the the Black community. And then you go west. You got that upper crest, the upper middle class. I mean, so yeah, it's just readily available. I mean, I work near Katy, so I mean, you get the upper crust people. But yeah, let's dive into the UFC's Ultimate Fighter anniversary. Now, Sam, you were on this show, and
Yes, I was.
looking back on it, you were like Steven Seagal.
Oh man, I don't know if I'd ever go that far.
Well, the thing is, the way that your delivery, like in the interviews, I fight to win, I play to win, and I'm just like, yeah, that's
Very
what Coach
true.
taught me. And okay, so how did you find out about it? How did this come into your knowledge and say, hey, I want to do that? I mean, who told you about it?
So when I was over in the quad, well, let me roll the story back just a little bit more than when I was over there at Militich. Before I'd gone to Militich, I had done really well on the amateur circuit, fighting in Louisiana on the underground at different shows. Like one of the guys who used to put on a show over there was named Joey Ancona. And Joey Ancona, I mean, he's a cool guy, but he's kind of like, he's a very respected man, if you know what I mean when I say that.
Yeah.
In that area. So he was putting on a fight show, and I was training at the time with Chris Seifert and over at a kickboxing school over there. Pat Barry was actually one of the guys who trained at the same school I trained at.
Okay.
And this was when before he went into the UFC, he did kickboxing. He used to fight for K1, so he primarily focused on kickboxing. So we both trained at that same school. But I would train with the grapplers. He would train over here with the strikers, and he did amazing. I mean, Pat has done a wonderful job with his career. But the time that I was there, I did really well fighting on the underground as an amateur. This is during the time that John McCain had made MMA illegal because he called it human cockfighting. And he wouldn't allow for people to fight. So what they would do is they would literally rent out warehouses, and they would put police and security on the outside to go ahead and tell everybody to like stay away. And then everybody who was involved in it would get inside. There'd be a cage in the middle, and you would fight. And I remember doing that. I remember fighting in Louisiana for a number of years, and it was like Louisiana really helped keep the sport alive. Like they did their part. And
you started a club there too, right? The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu club.
I started the LSU Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Club. I remember that. I had a lot of great students like Ki Huang. He's the guy who actually continued the club after I left. Who else? There's so many guys there. Joe. Yeah. So anyways, after I finished this, graduated from college because I graduated a year early. I made a deal with my dad. I said, Dad, listen, I graduated a year early. I saved you some money. Let me go up to Iowa and let me go train and see if anything happens with it. If anything takes off in the first year, I'll keep doing it. But if not, I'll go to law school. So we shook on that. We had a little deal. Off to the races. So I drove 24 hours to drive up to Iowa and got over there because the number one team at the time, and I think the number one team in the history of the sport still is the Militich Fighting Systems, because I think we had the most belts locked down at one time.
Yeah.
And we did, it was a wonderful experience being there with Pat and all the guys. So while I was there training with them, they still kept me as an amateur, and that really frustrated me. So then in order for me to turn pro, I was still fighting on these underground fights, and they kept like just having me fight like a couple times a week, but I was just knocking these dudes off. So then finally, to make my point, I went to a fight. As a matter of fact, I have this little fight that I did so I went to one of the fights, and the guy that's standing across the ring from me, he was a wrestler at the local college. He was a tough dude, did fairly well. I went over there to this match. Everything's locked down like they usually are. And I think it was at this place called Stars and Stripes. So I get in there with this wrestler, and I remember they're like, all right, Sam, just get in there and mix it up with him. Jeremy Horn kind of like told me, like halfway told me, like, don't murder the guy, but, don't go easy on him either. So I was like, okay, then I'll just stand up with him and I'll box a little bit and I'll see what happens, right? I go in there, and then like literally Jeremy Horn goes, are you ready? Are you ready? Fight. So we both get out to the middle of the ring, right? And so like I pulse, and I feint with my hand. His hands go up, and when their hands go up, they inevitably come.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I saw him come down, I threw a head kick and wham! The guy looked like he got shot in the head by a shotgun. The guy went down like this. After you know what? I'm gonna sell the video of that fight, because that fight technically doesn't exist, and it's one of those underground
I think I've seen a fight. I remember when we were training. After training one time, you showed me one of your early fights.
Yeah.
I think you still have that. Yeah, I think I've seen it before.
I think I still have it on a VHS. I think I might have shown it to you. I think I have it on a VHS tape. So after I knocked this guy out, like I looked around and like I'd made my point. Like all of a sudden, like the promoter at the time was a guy named Monty Cox. He said, Sam, you can no longer fight here amateur. You're going to have to fight pro. And I was like,
yeah.
So anyway, so after doing that, I developed a really good pro record. I was undefeated until I got to the UFC. Even when I got to the UFC, I stayed undefeated for a little while. But
yeah,
I was doing well. I was locking it up. I was beating a lot of up-and-comers in the Midwest, and the Midwest is a heavy wrestling hub. And obviously, being that I was affiliated with the Militich Fighting Systems, I was able to go ahead and get a manager whose name is Joe Cavalera. He's a guy from Boston, and he had ties to the UFC, and he said, "Hey Sam, let's see what you can do." So they started having me fight different guys across the country, and then I was like, I'm beating people across the country now, which was still building my name, and eventually I was helping Pat Militich build his new gym, because he had the people at Gold's Gym decided they no longer wanted us over there because they were trying to change the image and revamp it to,
of course,
I don't know, to probably attract a different clientele.
Well, they're
so
closing.
Then Pat said, "Okay, well, if we got to
okay.
leave, I'm gonna go open my own gym." So then he went and bought his own building and started building his own gym. So I went over there to go help him, and I was very very diligent about being there on a regular basis, because I wanted to make sure that I could put some blood, sweat, and tears into seeing this gym become a reality. Anyway, so the gym goes up, and in the process of doing this, he goes, Pat walked up to me and goes, "Sam, Dana White and the guys are thinking about doing a show. Would you be interested in possibly doing this?" I told him I would, and then I told my manager, who got in touch with Dana, and then from there it all kind of snowballed, and then I was on the first season of The Ultimate Fighter.
Now,
yeah,
that first season is kind of what brought MMA mainstream, really.
Yeah, we saved the sport. The sport was going to die.
Yeah,
because they wouldn't even let a lot of networks they had negotiated. They tried to negotiate with a lot of these networks. Were kind of afraid, hey, it may be too violent, and stuff like that. They got kicked off pay-per-view.
Yeah, because again, it's because of the work of John McCain. Because and I mean, I think he was trying to protect boxing. I think that was his primary interest at the time, because I believe Anheuser-Busch is his wife has some ownership in that company, and I think that they endorsed boxing. So boxing was dying a slow death due to the fact that a lot of the fights were very lackluster, and there was a lot of conspiracy theories about fights being set up and the lack of reality in reference to the fights. And then all of a sudden, when people started seeing mixed martial arts, they saw us as so over the top real that it became initially very hard to digest, especially with the way that they were marketing it previously, because they were marketing it as, a sport where anybody could die. This could be, I mean, I think I remember that was one of the things that they said initially, one of the first pay-per-views, was that they were going to take a martial artist from each style and go in there. And it was like Bloodsport came to life. And it was literally the only thing missing in this whole equation was Van Damme.
Right.
Yeah. And Bolo Yang.
So, but it's true. For Ultimate Fighting Championship, kind of did save the sport, because you had mixed martial arts, but you also had reality. It was reality TV too, because you had so many personalities.
Mm-hmm.
So that first season, saving that final episode where you had the final fights, because you won your match that.
Bobby Southworth, right?
I had to fight against Bobby Southworth. And I remember on the show, me and him were we're buddies now, but I can tell he's one of the guys that I can be friends with when I don't live with him. But it's kind of if you move in with your, say your best friend growing up. How many stories have you heard? They move into college and they're roommates together and now they can't stand each other.
Yep.
I feel our energy is a lot like that. When we don't live together, buddy, it's great. It's wonderful. I enjoy his company. He's really cool. But when we live together, our personalities just under the same roof just don't match.
Well, what is it like? How many guys did start off on that show?
What is it, 12, I believe?
So he had
Bobby, Kenny, me, Diego, Stefan, Swick, Sanford, Strange Brew, Forrest, and Lieben. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
So, what is it like having those 12 guys? Because it's not like a frat house where everyone's drunk.
Schoenauer.
You had 12 guys who were peak shape, a lot of tests. What was it like living in that house?
It was wonderful. And the reason I say it was wonderful is because, I'll tell you, at the time it was hell. It was just because initially we had all come there under the pretense that we were all going to go, we were going to do all these little reality competition contests. And then at the end, 2 of us were going to be picked and we were going to fight at the end. That was the initial premise. And then that's where you see Dana White give us that famous speech, do you want to be a fighter? But the problem was that Southworth, me, and a couple other people, we'd come to the show, but we didn't expect to have to make weight so that we would have to fight because we came there under different pretenses, So then all of a sudden the whole game just got switched on us on the spot. Literally. Completely got switched on us on the spot. So then, but then, after Dana White gave us that speech, there was I want to say almost like a coming to Christ moment. There was that moment where we were all looking at each other and we were all very honestly thinking is this what we're looking to? Is this the walk we're going to take? And then when he gave us that speech, I'm telling you, it fired me. I was there to fight anyways. I wasn't I made it very clear from the beginning, when I play a game, don't ever play me in a game and tell me we're competing, because if we're competing, I'm competing to win.
Want to win.
I'm not competing for the sake of it's fun. And especially back then when I was fighting, the only thing going through your mind at that time is I'm here to fight. I'm here to fight. I'm here to fight. And so inevitably, everybody's a target. Everything you do is so that you can try to coordinate getting that W. So it was an experience. It was a hell of an experience.
Now you did something to where you didn't fight until the semifinals. How did you manage that?
I actually had no control over that, to be honest with you. It was controlled, I think, by the people who were writing it.
And they saw your personality, right?
I think it was controlled by other people. I mean, I did play the game though. I definitely did make my team mad, and then the other team got mad, and then they both started fiddling with each other. And yeah, I mean, it was It went pretty well. It went pretty well. Like my plan worked out in reference to getting everybody like, getting everybody like fired up. So then, they would end up, in a big tornado. So that actually worked out in my favor. But I mean, as to who fought, it was usually determined by like the team captains and the team, But I think that the team captains, I think they might have gotten like nudged or influenced in some capacity, but I don't know that to be a fact. But like I was part of like some of the meetings, like literally like those meetings that you saw were like the meetings that we would have.
So tell us the process of being chosen for Ultimate Fighter.
So back then it was first you had to have a decent record. You had to have a legitimate fight, and you had to go in for drug screening. You had to go in for one of the things that I remember they did is they literally locked us in a room in a hotel, and you had to stay in that room for the whole week. And if you left that room, you're done. You're out. And so like it was like Big Brother. So like literally like you're in a hotel room and you're just sitting there all day, all night. And you can order your food and they'll bring you food, but there was no leaving that hotel room. And so like, me, since I obviously wanted to fight, I was like, I'm not leaving the room.
No, you do it every day.
I'm staying right here until I get my shot to go and get in there,
Yeah. So the thing is, afterwards, after you fought on that finale, you had I think a fight against, was it Rashad Evans?
I fought a couple people. I fought Stefan, Rashad, who was it? Machida, Jeff Newton. Yeah, I fought quite a few people.
Yeah, and so I thought that you won that one against Rashad Evans. I mean, I thought that you won that one. I like the combo that you did when you just get a jab cross and you just hit him with that left. And he was on Dream Street for a while when he recovered.
He was definitely stepping in potholes, I'll tell you. But I mean, it was a good fight. But I mean, he went along like everybody that I fought champions, and they all did really well. So I was really happy about that. I was really proud of of their work and of their success. So I felt like it overall everything went. Let me see, something's going on here with my phone.
There you are.
Bingo. There we go. Yeah. So I mean, everything I think went really well. And I was pretty happy with with my career and what I was able to do and the people I was able to fight, because dude, not only did the group I work with save the sport, but like all the people I fought, I fought champions. So it was wonderful.
Yeah. You fought people like pretty much in their prime. Now the thing is, I'm kind of wondering why they don't have, like the pop figurines or anything like that for like the Ultimate Fighter Season 1, or like even like action figures. I mean, was that even discussed with you, or?
I think they had mentioned that, but I mean, I just don't think that kids play with toys enough to support a market like that anymore, because most kids nowadays are on their iPhones or playing video games. So there's not a demand for toys like there used to be back in the day.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a collector's market though. I mean, for people our age. So I mean, they could do it.
They could, but I mean, you got to think like when they produce those toys in China, they got to produce like hundreds and thousands of those for like people to buy at like $13 to $15 a pop. So I mean, it's a tough business. It's definitely a tough business to try to like.
Yeah, had they done it when UFC was at its all-time peak, I think it would have sold a lot.
Possibly. I mean, I know that they did some bobbleheads, and I think they did fairly well. As a matter of fact, I think I have a Boss Rutan bobblehead somewhere.
Yeah, like Bobby got me actually a Anderson Silva pop, Funko Pop. I remember for Christmas one year, and I still have.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, look at this. Boom. There it is. There it is. Look at that. I got the Boss Rutan bobblehead.
Oh, that's awesome.
I actually have it from Inside MMA.
Yeah, I got one. I think I have one that's like a Randy Couture when I met him. And this was like, I'd say I had been with you for about a month when I went in 2008. And I met Randy Couture and his wife, Kim. Well, ex-wife, Kim.
Yeah. Yeah, they were, so I mean, it was, I just don't think that they saw enough market opportunity there. And they were really, like, at that point in time, all the money was literally spent on trying to, like, get the best fights put together. And I think at that point, trying to buy Pride FC out at some point,
I forget about Pride.
I miss Pride, actually. I miss Pride.
And I think that, I think like, you know, their focus was like domination, you know, industry domination. And like
WWE.
you know,
Yep.
I think Vince McMahon like influenced Dana White a lot. I mean, hey, look, they're part of the new presidential
The little task force to save the economy.
yeah, the economic task force.
Now, Sam, you have more of your wins are by submission than KO. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer ground and pound? Or do you prefer like stand up fight?
Well, I'm better on the ground than I am standing up. But like one of the things that I really identify with is that like I like to go chin for chin. You know, it's like a Hispanic thing. I'm Panamanian by descent. So like we take a lot of pride. There's a lot of machismo. So we like to go like, you know, shot for shot with people and see like if I get hit or rocked and I got to take somebody down, I will. But I mean, if I can stay in the pocket and bang it out, then I'm probably gonna start right there, you know? So I'll take it to the ground if necessary, but typically I'm gonna see like there comes a point in a fight where you're like face to face with somebody, you guys are swinging on each other. You look into their eyes and you can see like just for a second whether or not like whether they're built like that or they're not. Does that make sense?
No, I was taking yourself if you can, taking yourself out of the fighter into the viewer, into the fan. What do you prefer? Do you prefer the ground and pound? Because like as a fan, like I can appreciate the ground and pound, but I have a buddy who loves watching like when they go to the ground, and I like more stand up. I like the punches and the kicks. As a fan, what do you prefer to see?
I mean, the stand up is a lot more entertaining, obviously. But like good grappling can be entertaining, but I mean, let's be honest. Like nobody wants to see people laying on top of each other. That's not a ton of. It's not fun. It's not fun to watch. Like when you have dynamic grapplers, you're able to keep like the energy moving. That's a lot of the reason why. That's a lot of reason why like MMA has been able to kind of maintain itself like in the entertainment value. Because now if you guys because like in a real MMA fight, like if this was like the old UFC, it was literally like you go in there and if you guys are sitting on the mat for 2 hours trying to figure it out in one position. Well, one guy gets tired, then you're going to do that. But that's real fighting. This mixed martial arts now is a sport. And being that it's a sport, there's a limited amount of time to work with. So being that there's a limited amount of time to work with, inevitably they have to try to go ahead and make sure that these guys are working. Because, I mean, if you really want to think about it, somebody can take someone down and just hug them and hold them and win a fight. And then how entertaining is that going to be?
That's not going to be entertaining at all.
No.
And then the question becomes, was the person really fighting or were they trying to take the person down to hug him to avoid fighting? Because by hugging him, they can't hit him or hurt him or do anything. So now like, are you really trying to fight or are you trying to avoid the fight? And if you're trying to avoid the fight, why are you in here?
Well, but here's the thing. You got a saying, dude, that you imposed on me, you know, for several times. And what was that saying that you had?
ABC, always be closing.
Always be closing.
Always be closing. That is the mindset. Always in life. If you're using the Hoger philosophy, it's ABCD now. It's always be closing decisively. Focus on what you want and decisively go after an attack and get it.
Well, like you said, you know, you don't want to take a fight to the judges. You know, you want to win. You know, basically, at the end of the day, you want your hand raised. But hey, you don't want any questions or people saying, "Oh, hey, he won that just because," or because. No, I mean, hey, you knockout or tap out.
Now, I think that if you leave it to the, like, my honest belief is like, if it goes to the judges, it should automatically be considered a draw because that fight never finished. That fight's not done, you know?
Yeah.
And then what I think they should do is they should pay both of the fighters half their salary, you know, just their show money instead of like both show and win money because nobody won the fight. Like my biggest belief is like in a fight, unless you finish a person, you didn't win that fight. You know, you did like, oh, but you were beating him up the whole time, but he survived the whole time. Like, how are you arguing? How are you arguing that like you finished something that you didn't finish? It's like me paying somebody to fix my car, to fix my car, but they only halfway fix it and it still doesn't drive. It's like, what am I paying you for? It's like, but man, look at these new screws that I use and look how well I put my screws. No, it's like I honestly believe all fights that have gone to decision should have been considered a draw on the spot. And I think they were doing that at a fight show in Japan for a number of years.
Really?
Yeah. I think it was like Ramanex or one of those shows back in the day where like if you didn't finish your opponent, it was a draw. And I think that is the most like that is correct.
It makes sense though. It does.
Because like how did you win? Like, oh, but did you see how much damage I did? I saw you did enough damage to not finish him. Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that. I saw you. I saw all the damage you did, and it still wasn't enough to finish him. So he survived all this damage you did.
Yeah. Well, here's the
How
thing.
is that? How in the world is that going to be? Is that going to constitute like, oh well, look at him. Look, this is a win. No, that's not a win.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, in all sports, if you're tied after regulation, you go to overtime or extra innings,
Sure.
and then
Sure.
it's until somebody is decisively a winner.
Or it's a draw. Or it's a tie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true in hockey.
I think
yeah,
it should be a
tie.
draw. I really do. Any fight that goes to decision is a draw. Like if you didn't finish that person, they were just as much of a winner as you were because that job did not get completed.
You took an ass kicking and you stood up.
Yeah.
I know. Like you got hit with a truck and it still wasn't enough.
Yeah, you're still alive. Barely, but still alive.
Now, Sam, I gotta ask this because there's a funny comedian, Nick Swartzen, who one of his bits was the fact that he goes, I respect MMA fighters, but I couldn't imagine like waking up going, you know what? I want to get my ass kicked every day and that'd be my job. Because you're getting punched pretty much for your job.
Yeah.
When did you go, you know what? Like, I want to inflict, like, but you also inflict pain. Like, when did you go, I want to do this? Like, what made you go, I want to do this?
I think, and I say this to people a lot, and I explain to them, do not fight ever. If you're going to be a fighter, do not fight for the money. Do not fight for the fame. It's inside of you. It's this angst. It's this drive to like really like achieve, you know, and it's something that's in you. You know, I don't think you can put that. I don't think people are taught to be fighters. You know, I mean, you can learn how to fight, sure, but they're like being a fighter and being taught how to fight are two different things. Like that lifestyle, and like when I look back on it, I'm just like, it's a part of the fiber that makes you who you are. It's part of that internal compass that drives you towards whatever you're going to. And the problem that most people run into with this is that, and I explain this to people all the time. Like I ask them all the time. Like I like my students over here. I have a school here in Los Angeles, a real martial arts school, and I tell everybody, I'm like, do you want to be a fighter? And of course, initially all of them like, yeah, I want to fight. And I tell them, okay, well, if you want to fight, I need you to understand something. Every single time you go into that cage, you have to consciously know that you could die. The other person's objective on the other side of that cage is to do as much damage to you as possible and stop you. Understand that? So in essence, they're in there to kill you. You are in there to go after them and stop them and finish them as well. So being that you have to be comfortable with that, you have to be comfortable with both the fact that you might finish this person
Or they
or might finish you.
Yeah.
And if you can't process that in your mind, you don't need, like the martial arts is so vast and so huge. It's like a university. There's like, you know, the Tai Chi for like the health and wellness and movement for older people. There's like the Kung Fu for a lot of the theoretical stuff. Like you see John Jones use that oblique kick now from Kung Fu.
Yep.
There's the more traditional parts, the karate, you know, there's the sporty part, there's the Taekwondo. And then there's MMA, which is like the football team in a university. It is the most popular thing out there in reference to that university. And everybody knows the name, LSU, you know, Grambling, like, you know, everybody knows a name. Everybody knows a name, right? Go Tigers. They know the name, but it's so much, the martial arts world is so much bigger than that.
Right.
And I mean, at the end of the day, the martial arts is about trying to bring the best you out to develop the best health, the best spirit, and the best sense as you navigate through the world. It's not just about fighting. Like fighting is a component of it, but it's not the overarching, like it's not everything. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
And so that's why when I ask people, like when they come in and they tell me they want to fight, I ask them that question. I said, do you think, I mean, is this something that's really inside of you, or is this something that you think you might want to pursue? And if they tell me they want to try it, I'll say, look, let's start training and let's see where the journey takes you. Let's be honest with it. But let's not walk in, unless you're like built like that, unless it's in your head and you're not like, and you automatically like me, I knew since I was a kid. You can ask like my cousins, you can ask my friends. I would go fight my older cousin, Charlie, every single weekend when I would see him. And he would beat the brakes off of me. I'd be crying. I'd be like, hey, in the grass like a little kid. And then as soon as I got all the tears out, I get up and I go fight him again. And he beat the hell out of me every single time. And I remember that. But like, that's because it's a part of who I was. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
And people go, well, I don't know if I want to fight. I'll be like, good, you're normal. You're a normal human being. You're a normal, sensible human being. You know, pursue what's inside of you that's truest to you because you have a limited amount of time that you're here. But to come into like a fight gym and say right off the snuff, I want to be a fighter. And you know when is the moment when you get to figure out whether or not somebody's really built like that?
When they get punched?
Get them in a sparring session.
When they're in the middle, not just a sparring session, when they're in the middle of a sparring session or they're in the middle of a situation and they get stung, you know, and they're about to go down and they're getting hit, bam, 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 bam. And then like, you know, you see whether or not like in that moment, whether or not they're like, they want more or whether or not they're like, you know, they don't, you know? And if they don't, they're a normal human being. That's okay. But if they do, then you know that they have a fire inside of them that needs direction, needs focus, and can do them a lot of good if they're really that person. But if you're not that person, that's fine. But the thing is, most men want to think that they are that person.
Yes.
Until they aren't. There was an article I read somewhere online that was saying that most people, like most guys, think they're 4,000% more effective in fighting than they really are. Which I think that is a grossly low number, to be honest with you. But I'm just telling you from
used to train some of them. Used to train some of them.
Everybody that we trained was wonderful. You know, I mean, they were great. But I mean, the thing is that, you know, the reality is that a lot of us have been raised, you know, and we're raised in a culture where, you know, our military here in the United States is the thing that honestly like ensures our freedom. That's why like it ensures us to be able to like live the life that we do. So the military industrial complex is a huge thing here in this country. I mean, and it's very important. I'm thankful to all the military and servicemen out there. Thank you for your service. My father was a major in the Army. I was raised military. So I was raised in that. That was part of who I was. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's different when it's a part of who you are versus you trying to make yourself into something that you're not because you weren't. It's not a natural piece of like your fabric.
Well, now, jumping off that,
I'm gonna have to get off here in about like 3 or 4 minutes, guys, because it's 5:40 and I got to get ready because I got to do an online training session where I'm going to be where I'm going to be teaching. It's going to be on internetmartialarts.com. I'm going to be doing a little training session.
The video went out again.
Oh wait, let me see. Yeah, so here, let me. Yeah, it's on internetmartialarts.com. I'm going to be on there doing a little training session for some of the students in the school in Alaska that I was a part of over there.
Okay.
Well, no, you had one more question. Go ahead, but then I got to go.
Oh yeah, no.
Okay.
I guess. Well, first off, Mike Tyson said everyone has a plan until they get punched. Was that kind of like yours? Like, did you go in with like a plan of attack, or were you like, you know what, I'm just gonna let this?
It was so long ago, and I've been doing martial arts since I was a little kid. I couldn't even tell you. It was so long ago. I was like 6 years old when this all kind of kicked off. You know.
Fair enough. And then before we started talking, you were talking about a rap album.
Yeah, I have a hip hop album coming out soon. It's going to be pretty exciting.
I've heard a little sample of the track. I mean, it's actually pretty good. Sam is rapping.
Yeah, Diesel Walker. I'm doing the reggaeton and rap. I'm mixing, you know.
So who are your rap influences?
Oh my God, Biggie Smalls, Jay-Z, El General. Who else? Pac,
EPMD.
Nas. Yeah, all those guys, man. Who else? Mystical. Who else did I come up with? Really, that was really influential. Yeah, I mean, those are probably like the biggest ones, though, right there.
No, the thing is, Rob, one thing you don't know about this guy, he can bust a freestyle. He can bust a freestyle.
I certainly can. That is a lot. And you guys, like I said, you're going to be seeing a lot of that happening here pretty soon.
Nice.
The first song I'm going to put it out, it's going to be Spanish. The second one I'm going to do is going to be more of a party one. It's going to be in English. And then we'll see where it goes. Then probably the next one will be a mix of the two, you know? I'll start mixing them because, I mean, it's amazing. You can see what you can produce whenever you're making this kind of music. Remember, Diesel Walker. That's the name, Diesel Walker.
Okay.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, but Sam, you know, you got to go. But you can find Sam at Real Martial Arts out in Los Angeles. You know, I got to come up there, man, and train with you, dude. It's been too long.
Please do. And like I said, you can find me on Facebook. I'm always readily available. I'm on Instagram at Sam E Hoger. One word, SAMEHOGER. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter. Like I'm very I'm very accessible. I always make myself open and available to anybody. Like it's pretty easy to reach.
And I think that's why I joined, because when we met at Champs, you gave me like a little flyer. It was like a little circular sticker, and I called, to see if they were open. And I left a message. I'd say about 5 minutes later, you called me back.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, a lot of businesses, wait to call people back. And I was like, okay. And like, he gave me like a free week, and I really liked it. And that was when we were we were past the Beltway, Militich.
We were at the, I think it was like on Temujin. We were on Rasmus. Yeah, I remember that. That was man with John Cho, Alex Lopera, and Young Chen. Those guys were awesome. I mean, I could have never done this without their help. They were instrumental.
No, yeah.
Guys, this has been amazing.
Appreciate it, man. Be safe out there.
Please be safe, Sam.
Hey, man, appreciate this.
Jason, Robert, guys, this has been wonderful. I will talk to you guys soon. Anybody who wants to reach me, feel free to hit me up on Instagram or Facebook. Yeah, I'm always here, guys. You guys take care. And hey, and if you guys get a chance, internetmartialarts.com. I'm going to be doing a training session here pretty soon.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. You guys take care.
You too.
All right, you too, Sam.
And as always, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Bayou City Geeks. As always, he's Jason Elliott. I'm Bobby Behar, and see you in the funny papers.
Hey, take care.